And particularly, I would like to thank our partners who are here and will be telling us why they've been working with us. I'm thinking of Auto Trader, the Prince's Trust, Manchester Airport Group. Obviously, I'm delighted to welcome Paul Cisse, who without him, we wouldn't be here, obviously, and you'll get a chance to hear from them. I'm also delighted to welcome Owen, who was actually central, like me, in terms of getting this project on the going. And this webinar is going to be recorded because a few people who would love to see it are not here, and we want to share it. We'll share it after the session. We have muted the the mics and the cameras because obviously we have so many people, and if we open them up, it might be very difficult to manage, but also because we have many people, it may be confusing to everybody on board. We have got the chat is not is not on, but the question and answer function is working, and you are more than welcome to use it. We'll keep an eye, and obviously you can ask the questions as we go along. And finally, this session is going to be recorded. Again, I think I'm just repeating what we said already. So we will soon touch the record button and we will be ready to go. So in terms of the structure, so there are no surprises. We'll start with opening remarks by our former dean, Dave. He'll be followed by obviously Paul Cisse, who will tell us why he contacted the Open University a while back, trying to get us involved in the program. Then myself and Owen will tell you about the Black Leadership and Empowerment Program. And then when we finish, we will we'll hear from our partners, starting with Prince's Trust with Julie. We'll have Manchester Airport Group with Tito, and then Auto Trader, we'll have Sarah and Helen. And then we'll have enough time for question and answers. Please file in your questions. And without further ado, we are ready to go, and let's hear from Dev. Thank you.
I am delighted to be part of this launch of the Open University Black Leadership Empowerment Program. I remember way back in 2020, at height of COVID-19 disruptions, the seeds of this program were sown after I had a meeting with Paul Cisse of Inclusive Companies. I was inspired by Paul's own success as a leader and by his passion to support others to lead impactful life. Since then, we have come a long way to this point when we are launching a program to empower Black leaders to create more diverse workforce and society. We are confident that this program will support learners to identify key characteristics of being an impactful Black leader, be able to critically evaluate claims of leadership from the perspective of Black experience and critical race theory, and also to be able to communicate effectively within diverse groups to generate impactful leadership, be that in business, charity, social sectors, government, whichever part they choose to become leaders. Nothing good gets done without a clear vision and purpose, which then needs teamwork and collaboration to realize the same. This program is no exception. I'm very proud of the way my colleagues at the Open University have gone about taking the idea from conception to realization of an impactful program. The Open Learn part of this program is freely available to anyone, but with the help of partners in business and community, we are now able to offer a pathway for this program into our undergraduate degree. This is a great way to convert one's professional development experience into university credits. The mission of the Open University is to be open to places, people, methods, and ideas. The Open University Black Leadership Empowerment Program is an excellent example of our mission. I congratulate all those who have started on the program, thank all our partners, and wish the program a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dev. And I think he did mention Paul Cisse. So over to you, Paul. Tell us why you decided to reach out to the Open University and encourage us or challenge us to come up with the Black Leadership and Empowerment Program. Thank you.
He's muted.
You are muted, Paul.
Technology today. I am no longer muted. I do apologize. But yeah, thank you, Fidel, and thank you to Deb, and thank you to everybody that's been involved thus far, getting this program up and running. It's been a great pleasure to work with many people on this, and a lot of hard work has gone into it as well. So yeah, my name is Paul Cisse. I do various D&I initiatives across the UK, like National Diversity Awards, Inclusive Top 50 UK Employers, and Inclusive Awards, and various other things across the UK. And this program came about when the murder of George Floyd happened, and I'm one of those people that don't want to just sit on my morals and do nothing about it. I wanted to do something about, the feelings of the country, of the world, especially from a Black perspective. So I set up a kind of a conglomerate of people called Black Leaders. And we got so many Black leaders and allies across the UK coming to want to make a difference themselves, which was amazing, completely voluntarily. And then we got Auto Trader, who's been an amazing ally to, not just myself, but many people in D&I across the UK. They are absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we split up into different groups. And so we did Black Inclusion Week, which is my idea, which is now up and running. We had a communities one as well, which was the Black Leadership and Empowerment Program, which was run by a group of volunteers, not just myself. It was volunteers that came up with the conception and wanted to make a difference themselves. There's a Black Educational Toolkit for schools as well that goes into schools, as well as various other things, the Black Inclusion Index and other things that was on the agenda at the time. Okay. So we got a group of people together, 4 or 5, all from different varying backgrounds, some from religious backgrounds, LGBTQ plus backgrounds, from a Black British perspective, one from an immigrant perspective as well. And this was the communities team, and we wanted to make a difference within the communities across the UK, and we drew on our own experiences. So for me, I was a Black person, fostered, homeless, grew up in the foster care system, and left school with no qualifications. And there was a college in Liverpool called the Charles Wotton Centre, which was a specifically Black college. Well, not Black, it was lots of people from there, but it was aimed at the Black community in Liverpool. And I know from my own experience, if I didn't go to that college to redo my GCSEs and get my confidence up to do what I'm doing today, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. They paid us £50 a week to go there, so it was a bit of an incentive at that point. But it was a catalyst for me to start educating myself and getting back into the education system. And this story came across various other people that was in this group as well. And so what happened is there was a lady from London who came up with, I get her name, Farah. She's absolutely amazing Muslim woman, and they would say there was something similar going on in London about Black and empowerment, and then we put everything together, and we said, well, how can we get this off the ground? So I said, well, I've got connections all over the UK. Let's see what I can use my influence on. So I contacted the Open University and I contacted Dev specifically. And he was like, yes, I would delighted to be doing it. He said yes straight away. And so I've worked with the fantastic people like Wayne, Fidel, and other people that was brought into this, and Tracy as well, brought into the actual program to develop it, and they have worked tirelessly. And I'd like to take credit for the Black Leadership Empowerment Program, but I'm not going to, because it's Wayne, Fidel, and everybody else that has worked so tirelessly to get the theory and everything else up and running, and use their passion to actually get this to fruition. And that's kind of how it started. And to see from where its conception, from an idea to where it is today, when we go to the Prince's Trust now, we work with Auto Trade and Manchester Airport Group and various other organizations to sit there and get 20 Black people through this empowerment and leadership program, to learn them about empowerment, to learn them about leadership, to get them thinking about their future careers. And not only that, but also mentoring people and people bringing in various people to actually talk about, how they did it, how they made it to where they're going to. And I'll leave with this because I've only got 5 minutes, and I know lots of people have got loads of things to go through. But from my own experience, from being a foster care, homeless, from no parents, to do what I'm doing now, and I've managed to make a difference in society. Anybody that's going on this program, imagine what you can do too, because that is what this leadership empowerment program is all about: making future leaders to make a difference in society for the betterment of society as a whole, and a diverse society that is equal and equitable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. And, I'm very sure a few people will be asking questions, through the Q&A function. The next phase of our event is a presentation by myself and Owen. So what we'll do is I'll share the slides. I will start. And after I, do a couple of slides, and then Owen will take over, and then it will come back to me before we go to our partners. Let me try and see if we can share the slides. Okay, it's coming. Yes. So, a short presentation. I will talk a little bit about the background. Then Owen will cover the program itself, and then I come back and talk about the sort of the support element. We are wrapping up around the Black Leadership and Empowerment Program. So to start with, I think we heard from Paul about his motivation, but it wasn't only Black Lives Matter which was happening in 2020. One of the biggest challenge we faced, which brought into light the whole area of racial equity, was actually COVID-19. As you might recall, at the beginning of the pandemic, there were sort of some discussions as to why some particular communities were suffering more than the others. I have the statistics on the slide, which I'm not going to read, but as a person of color, as a Black person, one of the things I never forget was when we were encouraged to go and get vitamin D, because apparently we were dying off because of lack of sunshine and vitamin D. Transpired that there were underlying issues, obviously to do with racial inequalities, that meant that there were disparities within who was affected by COVID-19. It took a while for the information to come out, but at the beginning, it made many of us petrified, including some people who were unable to go out. While this was happening, obviously, the public institutions like the NHS, the councils were trying to reach out to those communities. And very clearly, there was a leadership deficit gap, which needed to be filled, which obviously came up very strongly when we moved into the Black Lives Matter protests, which came up after George Floyd's murder in the US. But the protests themselves were just a way of expressing some of the frustrations, which I highlighted on the slide, which is in front of you, particularly around the whole idea of sort of policing around stop and search, which meant actually we needed to have some leaders who would be able to engage and talk with the community, but also engage with the people who have power to influence the change which those people who are protesting were looking for. So literally the program was necessary, I contend, because there was a deficit of leadership marked mainly by the tensions which came up during the Black Lives Matter protests, where we had people who had experiences of leadership, experiences of advocacy, who were not necessarily the ones leading the protests. And the tensions were particularly very visible when there were direct action activities, which some of the established Black leadership at the time were not necessarily happy with, because they felt those people were probably, doing more than what is expected in terms of protesting. So it was in that context that obviously the Open University took a keen interest in, and I had a personal and a professional interest in seeing a program like BLEP come up. So to sum up, so we had the tensions between the existing leadership and the emerging leadership during the Black Lives Matter. We had the service providers who were trying to figure out how to collaborate with Black and other ethnic minorities. And there were also questions about some of the representatives of those communities across the board. So there was a demand for a new bespoke program. And as far as I know, we are one and the only one at the moment doing what we are trying to achieve. And I'll finish with obviously, what we are trying to do is to help those learners, those who are participating, to make their own impactful media, to give and receive feedback, construct compelling arguments, present ideas in a persuasive way, and then use interdisciplinarity for knowledge, but also value lived experience. That's what we are hoping the learners will get from the program. And, we will be looking at the program, evaluating it along the way. And now I pass over to Owen. I will, tell me when it is time to move to the next slide, Owen. Over to you.
I will do, Fidel. Thank you. So it feels so good to be here today, right? It was a good few years ago now, and it feels like a completely different world where we managed to build this thing basically from nothing. Paul, Fidel, and I with Sonia Bassi as well. And it feels so brilliant to be here and to see this become a tangible, real thing. So Fidel and I have actually worked together for quite a long time now, right? Even before this, we worked together on pulling together leadership resources and programs for the voluntary sector as well. So it's been amazing really to work together on this program too. So my role in this, I think, is to explain the different learning components of it. And please put a hand up and interrupt if I need to go over something or to clarify something in more depth. But essentially, the program consists of 3 different elements. One, as Fidel has pointed out already, are 2 courses that are available on the Open University's Open Learn platform. And this is 150 hours overall of free learning. Anyone around the country, anyone in any part of the world can access this material. And I know we've all been sharing it with our networks too, which is great. The second component is a credit-bearing module, which I'll explain more when we get to the next couple of slides. But it basically acts as a spine to hold all this different learning together. And the third and final part of the puzzle are the kind of in-person learning hubs that allow people a chance to make sense of their learning together. And at the end of this, there is participants get 30 credits basically that they can put towards undergraduate study at the business school and the OU. So I think I can navigate forward on the slides, which is cool. So let's talk about the first component. So it took us a while to settle on OpenLearn as a suitable platform, but I'm really glad we did actually, because I think it's a kind of unique platform that is intuitively pleasant to use, but it allows us to draw on loads of different kind of interactives and multimedia resources to make it work. It's really, really a platform the OU should be proud of. So the OpenLearn component of this, the main bit of it is that we have designed 2 new courses specifically aimed at Black leadership, which, as I said, anyone in the world can access. So the first course, which is called Introducing Black Leadership, basically focuses on defining what we mean by leadership, maybe disrupting people's kind of everyday lay theories about what leadership involves to be something that can empower and that can draw people together to make impactful change. And then we run through basically what we make sense of as 5 P's of leadership. So that's person, process, position, product, and purpose, which comes from a framework that comes from a book that I released a couple of years ago with the leadership scholar Keith Grint. But it's all kind of adapted and made relevant to Black leaders, essentially, and the unique challenges that Black leaders face. And so the second course, called Advancing Black Leadership, does a bit more than the title suggests, I think. So I think when Fidel and I and Paul were initially trying to conceptualize what this program would be about, we were getting, not within the OU, but we were getting some kind of feedback that, you know, maybe that almost like the goal here was to fix participants who would go through the program. And we didn't really like this. We thought the goal of the program was about helping participants fix systems, basically, because systems were the problem. And so it was about bringing people together and giving them some of the tools they need to be able to do that effectively. So Advancing Black Leadership is much more around key skills, as it says on the slide, of influencing, lobbying, but also kind of engaging with the kind of hard work of dealing with power, basically, and building alliances that can challenge systems, basically, to make them adaptive to the needs of Black people and Black communities in the UK. But in addition to these 2 new programs, we've curated relevant other free resources on OpenLearn. So as the slide says, stuff around project management, social marketing, coaching, and so on, which you can access if you visit the Black Leadership page. And in total, this comprises 150 hours of free learning that's available on OpenLearn. And 150 is quite important, because when we come to the second component of the program itself, the 150 becomes really interesting, because if you package together the 150 hours of free learning and also take the credit-bearing module, which I'm going to talk a bit about now, you come out of the process with 30 credits that you can put towards undergraduate study. And I would say that as a team, we were very determined that an outcome of this would be credits, basically academic credits, because it's important that the hard work of people who go through the program is recognized formally, and that people can take away something more tangible from it, basically. So really, the credit-bearing piece of the program is like a spine. So it pulls together the learning from the free courses, and it provides a series of checkpoints where participants can kind of reflect in a very structured way about what they're learning about leadership in their context, using a whole bunch of different media to do so. So the students are supported to do reflective videos, quite creative videos, to write blogs, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a kind of fun way, I think, of studying alongside the courses, but it's about making them real to people's experience. And I think, to be honest, the most important part of this is the fact that when students enroll in the module, they get access to OU tutors, who are the best tutors in the world, I would say. They're so good at supporting I should stop praising the OU like this now. I work at Durham, but anyway, they're the best tutors in the world. They're really good at supporting learning. They're real sort of experts at this stuff, and so people get this kind of hands-on support basically for an OU tutor all the way through, and of course access to the OU's virtual learning environment, which is amazing as well. And there are some assignments that go along with this. Of course, the 6 tutor marked assignments. They are compulsory, but they don't carry any marks. They're to practice, basically. So that when you get to the big one at the end, which is where you get your credits, basically you've done the work, really. You've done the hard work that leads up to that, and you've received feedback from peers and from your tutor. So I think now, Fidel, we're going to go on to the learning hubs. That's over to you. You're on mute, Fidel.
Yes, I'm on mute, yes. So the third component is the learning hubs. And I'm pleased to say that the first one is actually taking place on the 16th of this month at Auto Trader. And I'm excited, I'm looking forward to it. So the idea of the learning hub was that we are aware that people are not necessarily used to studying online. And it is a tried and tested method because we developed the learning clubs within the Center for Voluntary Sector Leadership over a period of from 2018 actually onwards. It's a method we have tried and tested. So, but what we are hoping to do, unlike what we did with the learning hubs for leadership development, is not only to give people the opportunity to benefit from peer learning, i.e. meeting their peers, holding each other accountable. We also be bringing in some motivational speakers who can come and inspire people and show them directions. We are also working with our colleagues from from Manchester, who will be coming on, who will be speaking to you very briefly, to engage in bespoke sort of mentoring, which will be more or less like speed dating, where the learners will get the opportunity to speak to somebody about a particular theme. So the theme we have for the forthcoming one will be sort of goal setting, because you can't, in order to be a good leader, you have to set goals and then try to figure out how you go from A to B, strategize and so forth. So that's what we'll be doing. And in addition, obviously, we will get a chance to meet each other, get them to meet our partners, but also increase their social capital by networking among themselves, but also with the partners who will be on board on the day. So that's happening we are starting on the 16th, and we have the dates for the following sort of hubs. But unfortunately, those ones are only open to our participants and our partners. So don't ask for an invitation, just to say. So obviously, we have been talking about our partners, and for this particular program in Manchester, the pilot, we are working with Manchester Airport Group, we are working with Auto Trader, we are working with Prince Trust, who are actually our community partner, who helped us to recruit the community learners on the program. And you'll be hearing from them very shortly. And just to sum up, the program, that's how it looks like, the 3 components we have been talking about, which we covered. So we have got the sort of the 150 hours. We have got the credit bearing module, which is a spine. And then we have got the final one, which is literally the learning hub. So part of it, they are doing it virtually with a tutor. And then the others, the networking will be happening in person. So they are getting the best of both worlds, where they are getting to meet people from practice, getting people to inspire them, but also engaging and familiarizing themselves with the way the Open University teaches, in case our learners are keen to continue to do their degree. So with us, obviously, which would be an icing on the cake if we can persuade them to transit from this program into our mainstream curriculum. This is all we have for you. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we'll move on and speak to our partners. Meanwhile, I'm going to now go to the question and answer, sort of to see what is in, and start preparing for the Q&A at the end of it. So if you have not asked your question, take the opportunity to do it. And over to you, Julie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. I've just literally got a couple of slides to go through. There we go. So I'm Julie Ainscoe. I'm from the Prince's Trust. Thrilled to be here today and to be part of the Black Leadership Empowerment Programme. So the reason we got involved, really, for me to answer that, is to just give you a bit of background information on what the Prince's Trust is and what we do here. So our vision at the Prince's Trust, we're a leading youth charity, and basically we are trying to give every young person that they should have the chance to succeed regardless of the background or the challenges they are facing. So we help young people aged 11 to 30, and we are open basically to anyone who is in need of support. It was founded by His Majesty King Charles III back in 1976, where he used his naval severance pay of £7,400 to set up community projects for young people. And then nearly 50 years later, here we are. We've helped over 1 million young people. We help approximately 50,000 young people a year. So we support them with their confidence, their journey, but very much looking at outcomes. And 3/4 of the young people that come through us move into a positive outcome, whether that be employment or education. So we've returned 1.4 billion in social value in 1 decade, and we are really committed to enabling even more young people to create a better future for themselves and the United Kingdom. So what do we do? I'll just really, so you understand what we do to how we got involved. We have programmes that have developed basically over decades in response to society's changing needs, but also what opportunities are available for young people. We have 3 themes of programmes, really. Those around education, supporting young people struggling to access mainstream education. Those in employment, where we help and support young people to access training and employment opportunities. So that can be things sort of missing out recruitment steps, working with employers to take young people on placements and into jobs. And our final strand is all about supporting young entrepreneurs to becoming self-employed. So working with young people, we have a great course, and then one-to-one mentoring, and then a business volunteer for up to 2 years. So it's a great sort of course for young people to go on to. So the reason, gone forward too fast. The reason we wanted to get involved is all around our mission, where every young person should have the chance to succeed. So when we were approached, we were really, really keen to get involved. We support those young people facing the greatest adversity and hardship and try to overcome that and move them into education, employment and enterprise. And this is through our programmes where we give young people back control of their lives and confidence and passion to reach out and find new opportunities and find out what they're capable of doing. We also identify and work with the young people that access our services are really the most in need and representative of the UK. And we believe that whatever the background, every young person has the ability and needs to be able to succeed in life. We recognise the diversity of the communities that we serve and how vital it is to build those strong relationships, and it's crucial for us to reach out really to the young people that need us the most and give them the best experience of working with us. So how were we involved? So we were involved in recruiting community learners from the Manchester and Greater Manchester area onto the programme. So we reached out to, we've got obviously, I can never say this word, alumni of Prince's Trust young people who completed a course with us in the last 12 months. And this was just such an absolutely brilliant opportunity for their progression and their future. We do find with higher education, a lot of our young people are put off automatically by cost, thinking they're getting in massive debt. So this was just the multiple young people were really enthusiastic and engaged with the opportunity, because we also find that they maybe think higher education isn't for them, that it's too hard, they're not qualified, there's nothing in it for them. So we found also leadership, which just transverses everything, was a real sort of key, that area that young people really wanted to learn more about. So we arranged a taster day for the young people to understand the course more, interact with the sponsors, but also start that important network of support with the other young people on the course. So we've successfully recruited 12 young people onto the course that have started the course and are working with the Open University now. And we're really, really keen to sort of have continued involvement with the course, presenting, hosting and mentoring. So what do we hope to gain? It's all about sort of facilitating that young person's opportunity to progress and become involved in their journey and advancing their journey in leadership. We're really hopeful, like I hear you are, that they'll continue that journey with higher education once they've become involved with the Open University, that there's a gateway there to it's further courses and furthering the careers. It's a fantastic qualification that definitely will influence into their futures and into other networks. And ultimately that we're working, Prince's Trust is working towards our vision of giving every young person the chance to succeed. There we go, I'll stop sharing now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie. And now over to you, Boratito.
Okay, thank you, Fidel. Good morning, everyone. And it's good to be here. This is a good way to start the month. So for us at MAG, I can say we, or like what it's called here, we call it the Aspiring Leaders Program. And that's because we didn't want to give the impression of a tick box exercise where people that were selected feel that, oh, they were selected because they're Black. Yes, we know it's BLEP, but we call it the Aspiring Leaders Program. And like Owen said earlier, this program was set up on using the 5 P's of leadership framework, because at MAG, people at our core. And we believe that developing people is one of the key things that we need to do to ensure that we have an effective and efficient workforce. So for us, it was designed for colleagues who we believe are ready to take charge in their current roles and move on to leadership levels. Part of our ED&I strategy is to ensure that we build up ethnic minority representation at leadership levels to about 12%. Currently, we are not there yet, but we hope that before the end of 2025, we'll be there. So what we aim to do also is to empower our colleagues with the required skills that they need to ensure that they perform well at their work places. So on this learners program, we expect that the participants will be equipped with the knowledge and skills they require in their different departments. What we've done is to select people with potential at middle level who have quality potential for leadership, and they're not all Black. We have people from other ethnic minorities that were nominated for MAG to participate in this program. Also, we believe that every one of them would have an opportunity to build capabilities. They would build a strong support network through interaction with other participants and the mentors that will come at some time during the program. I think Fidel mentioned some program that we'll have where participants will have interaction with other senior people with experience that will be able to share their experiences and also give them pointers as to how to be a good leader and also develop leadership skills. What else can I say? I think some of the expected benefits of this program include increased representation at leadership levels, as I said earlier, for us, opportunities for them to develop the relevant leadership skills they would need, such as communication, decision making, problem solving, which we believe that they all need in their current roles and in future roles. We're focusing mainly on the networking opportunities, because when they get to interact with people from other industries, other companies, other levels, they'll be able to build their confidence in taking ownership of whatever teams they have to lead now and in the future. At the end, we believe that at the end of the program, by September, all the learners would have completed their exams, they would have completed their courses, and by the time they're through with the program, they would have built their knowledge, their skills, their leadership competencies, which will help them not only to function well at MAG, but also in any role they decide to move on to in the future. So basically what we've done here is just to focus on ethnic minority groups who feel, I would use the word marginalized, and feel that they're not getting the leadership roles that they want. And what we're doing is to empower them to make sure that they know that when you work hard, you get those roles, you get the training, and MAG is ready to support you. So we're not doing this because you're from an ethnic minority group. We're not doing this because you're Black. We are doing it because part of our values is people at our core. Our focus is on developing and ensuring that we train the people at MAG. Thank you.
Thank you, Boravito. And last but not least, we go to our colleagues in Auto Trader. Now Helen is here and Sarah is here too. Well done. So over to you.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone can hear me okay. It's great to be here. So yeah, thank you for inviting us today. I'm Helen, I'm the Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Auto Trader UK. And I guess for us, so diversity and inclusion is a fundamental part of our overall business strategy, which is to drive change together responsibly. And as part of that D&I strategy, we've just got two simple main commitments, which is to have a representative workforce across all levels of the organisation, of course, focusing on leadership, because naturally, like many other organisations, that's a side of the business where we're not quite as representative as we would like it to be. And as part of that representation, of course, we want to be representative from our wider communities that we operate in, with a focus on 6 different areas, one of those being ethnicity. The second commitment is to have high levels of engagement across those 6 different areas. And now we're doing a lot internally about how we, I guess, support the development of our colleagues. We've got internal programs which support the development of our underrepresented colleagues, with ethnicity being a big focus on that, and specifically our Black colleagues. But what we also want to ensure that we're doing is supporting the work that we're doing externally. We've got super engaged, amazing employee networks that are doing great work both internally and externally, supporting our internal colleagues, supporting the engagement of our internal colleagues. And we've got our networks are doing great work to support our wider communities in terms of working with a number of different charities and partners. And that's something that's super important to us, because we know that we have that responsibility. Now, as I said before, we're doing great stuff to support our own colleagues in terms of their development into leadership, but we knew that this was a fab way that we can support our external communities more so than we already are doing. And my colleague Sarah is going to carry on talking about how we are supporting our communities and how we knew that this programme was really aligned to that.
Thanks, Helen. So hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and I look after all our early careers programmes at Auto Trader. So when this opportunity came to us, it felt so aligned in some of the most important things that we care about Auto Trader, and as Helen said, community, not just the community we have at Auto Trader, but that community that surrounds us. But in early careers, we see the power of bringing people at that stage of the career and with shared perspectives together to learn as one community. And that element really stood out, that we could bring people together to learn together and to support each other. which ties nicely into the next element that really stood out for us was the opportunity for our colleagues to mentor people on the programme. We thought there was a valuable opportunity to be able to grow their skills, for them to be able to give back, which is so important to us, and to support with their development and the development of others. Now, one of my roles at Auto Trader is to really think about outreach and how we're supporting that community around us, but also we are a tech business and talent and skills are not in greatest suppliers. And also from a diversity point of view, the ecosystem that we can bring talent in from is not as diverse as we'd like it to be. So we know that if we invest in people at the start of their career or at their next career and in their growth, then we can bring more incredible people into this industry that is growing and can really offer, you know, inclusive and great career opportunities for people to really build incredible careers. And let's face it, whenever there's a shortage of talent, it usually pays quite well as well. So we really thought this was an opportunity to be able to give back, not just for the programme and everything else we've mentioned, but, you know, to be able to showcase the opportunities that do exist in our industry and maybe engage and encourage some more people to grow and become leaders in our space too. So yeah, that's for me why we were excited to be part of the programme.
Thank you very much, Sarah and Helen. We have two questions in the chat, but before we go there, I thought I would get those people who have been very quiet. I'll give you a small task. I have a quiz, and if you listen, you can use the chat function to give an answer to the quiz I'm going to share now. I'm going to read it. Okay, and I'm starting now. Okay. What is the percentage of Black employees that hold top management position in the private sector in the UK? I repeat. Oh, okay. So in fact, it is there already. So I don't need even to do it. Okay, so there you are. Can you please do your quiz and submit? And then we'll see. I'll give you the answer afterwards. Come on, yes, 21 responses. I want more. Okay, maybe you stop here. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm surprised actually that 78% got the answer right. Thank you. Well done. So kudos. So in terms of the questions, there are a couple of questions in the chat. And in no particular order, I think we are going to start with Ian's one. For a reason or another, it is taking too long to even show me the question now. Okay, so we are there now. Published, yes. So Ian is asking us, how can we raise the funding to support local community groups to put people forward to the program? So we remove the financial barriers for community organizations and leaders. I don't know who is going to answer the question. I have an idea, but Paul, any idea?
I mean, if we're talking specifically for this program, then obviously we've got the likes of corporate organizations like Auto Trader and MAG that's you know, funded quite a lot. They are free, the actual this program for Black people or people students that want to join this course. So that's being funded by the organizations that have you know, sponsored this program itself. But more needs to happen, as we all know, within our communities, and this can only be done by collaboration between organizations that are in their local area and the community organizations as well, which needs to be done more. And it's ironic that you said that, because it's just not done enough, and we've got to highlight the problem because there is a problem. So for instance, I did a talk with Future Leaders UK in London, and there was very, very diverse people, students from, 16, 17-year-olds want to be future leaders in their kind of respective areas. But there was more bothered about, there wasn't more, there was bothered about the careers, but there was, how can I put it, worried about knife crime in their communities, and they was tired of their friends dying because of knife crime. As you know, we've had a terrible knife crime just happened in London as well, from I think it's an 11-year-old boy as well. It's a really, really big thing in London. So they're not even thinking about their careers. But I asked these kids, and there was about 200 kids in the actual room, well, how can this change? And they said opportunities. There is no opportunities. And this is a school that overlooks Canary Wharf, where billions of pounds is actually made every single day. And you're like, why can't they just be creating opportunities within these communities? It's not actually that hard. And I know from my experience is that more infrastructure needs to go in from people from not just from the Black community, but from social economic areas. So there needs to be some kind of connection between that. And I think the BLEP goes some way to do that, to empower people, but then there needs to be a lot more to be done.
Yeah, and Helen and Tito, because you came on board and you provided the resources to enable this one to happen. So what tip would you give to Ian, who is thinking of trying to get some resources to set off a hub, for example, in different places we are looking at, including Milton Keynes? Helen?
Yeah. Echoing probably a lot of what Paul just said there, to be honest. A lot of organisations do want to support this kind of thing, because fundamentally, we know that it's the right thing to do. And so I think if you can build partnerships with different organisations that are doing good stuff for the right reasons, because there are organisations that are doing stuff probably for not the right reasons, but if you can build partnerships with the right kind of organisations, authentic partnerships where they're fully supporting you with your work, then I think there's tons of opportunities there. And Paul works with loads of organisations across the whole of the UK, so there's definitely opportunities there to get funding. It's just about building those starting those initial conversations, I think, and building those strategic partnerships with them.
So can I just add as well, though, and I think I'm just going back to Lace Jackson's comments as well. This is not, there needs to be work done in the communities as well, because sometimes in the communities, and I'm just putting it frankly, there can be lots of fractions in the community where, people are holding on to different pockets and they're not working with this kind of organization because that person's working with this. And so it needs to be a two-pronged approach as well. Within our communities need to change sometimes as well. But definitely, I think for me, honestly, I did a recruitment fair quite a while ago, and we took 20 diverse people to an event. And before they went to that event, it's just going to be lip service. People don't want, they just want to just sit there and look good for their recruitment fair, and there's going to be no opportunities. But there was opportunities there, because when I did the recruitment fair, I made sure there was opportunities for them. And when they came back on the coach, they was like, oh, I've applied for this job, I've applied for that job, and I'm doing this. And they was completely motivated to actually, go for the careers that they actually want to do. And that was just one meeting in a careers fair in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? And so changing hearts and minds and making them connections and doing things like career fairs and making, working with the Job Centre Plus, and, that need to do more to create these careers, that they don't do enough. And I'm talking as an employer in Liverpool, I find it hard to get people through the door from the Job Centre, and, they need to be doing more from that. But yeah, 100%, there just needs to be a lot more collaboration. And I think with Auto Trader and Mags and Open University and many other organizations are really trying to do that. And there is change that is happening. It's not as fast as what it should be, but there is change that can happen.
Tito?
Sorry, and
Yeah.
last thing. And actually, the people like yourselves are the change that needs to happen as well. So if you feel that within your communities they're not getting enough exposure, approach people like Helen and Bola and anybody else in any organization. Approach them and say, listen, we're really struggling in our communities. Is there any help that you can give us? You know, any pointers that you can give us? I'm sure if you approach them in the right way, they will give you opportunities as well. Sorry, I'm kind of hogging, but I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, totally understandable. Okay, so for us at MAG, what I would say is I'm going to draw on what Helen said about strategic partnerships. We have colleague resource groups, about 6 of them in MAG, that focus on 6 out of the 9 characteristics in the Equality Act. One of them, which is Embrace for people from race and ethnic minority groups, that led to us being part of the partners for the BLEP. But what we also try to do is to partner with other organizations, to also partner with local communities. We also have our volunteer group within MAG that partners with different charities and different organizations. So some of those partnerships are areas where we can actually collaborate to raise funds and ensure that people come in from this for the program. Fidel knows the work we did and how what we had to do to get, management to approve this. It's not always easy, but then it can be done. So it's just to focus on ensuring that you pass the message across. Paul talked about having career fairs. We do a lot of that as well. We go out to find people that we can recruit and all that. And we try to make sure that we give back to the local community in any way we can. But it also for people to come forward and say, oh, like Paul said as well, reach out to some of these organizations to say, oh, I've gone through your website. I see this is what you're doing for this particular set of people, or this is what has been going on. There are so many things that are happening around. So it's for people to go to those organizations and say, oh, we want to partner with you. How can you help? And you never can tell. It might be at that moment they're thinking, oh, what can we do for CSR for this year? And then you just walk in at the right time and there you are. You have the partnership, you have the funds.
Thank you. So maybe let's try and do a bit of get people active again. Can we have a second quiz, please? Emily.
Sorry, I can't see the quiz.
Yeah, it should be on the screen now. Number of Black executives working at leadership level of UK top 100 companies in 2021. That's even precise. Okay, so I see people are not putting in the answer. I put in mine, and then we see who else is saying. Okay. Uh, 15. There are 38 of us. I'd like at least to reach 25, 26. Then we'll yeah, okay. 21, 5 more, and then we stop the quiz.
You should do auctioneering, Fidel.
Okay, so people have gone quiet. Okay, so I have to say the majority of people got it wrong. So it's not 10, it's not 10, it's not 100, it is 0. So the 29% were right. Thank you. Okay, so next question, I think we'll go to whose question? We'll go to Les's question because I think 2 more questions came along. So Les is she's asking us, great to see this is being targeted at to young people before they enter the workplace. So how are you preparing for global majority leaders for unconscious bias, marginalization, and low-level stereotyping when they go into organizations? Okay, so I have a first go here, and then I can get the rest of the panelists to answer. So, as it happens, yes, many of the participants are young, but not young to the point of not yet being in employment. As far as I know, all of them are over 18, of course. We have a few people who are older, so not everybody is very young, but some of them are in their 20s, but we also have 40-year-olds and so forth. So, which means they may have had those experiences before, but if you are thinking specifically of a young person who goes into work and then they have those experiences, I think that's why we have got the mentoring. That's why we have got all the peer learning, because they hear from their colleagues, get some ideas as to how they handle situations when they arise. But also they can speak to mentors in the process and get to know how those mentors might have been able to overcome those challenges. As it happens, our first motivational speaker on the 16th is Tony Whelan, who was the first Black player at Manchester United. So I'm very sure he'll have a lot to say about some of those experiences and how he dealt with them. So there'll be opportunities to hear about those challenges, but opportunities to hear about how those challenges have been not addressed, but at least mitigation people put in place to deal with the situation. But certainly it's a very important point. I don't know if there is anybody else who wants to have a go. Owain, you have been quiet.
Yeah, I think it's an important question. I think in terms of the course and module material, we do quite a lot on power and resisting power. I'm not sure we confront unconscious bias directly, right, Fidel? And I think maybe, yeah, I think partially that's to do with the framing around leadership. So we've been quite careful to frame the material directly around leadership practices, although I can see how some aspects of this would relate to leadership too. But maybe that's something then, Fidel, we can pick up in the learning hubs, as you say. But definitely, I think quite a lot of the course material, particularly around power and resistance, is probably relevant to this.
Can I answer some of that as well? So the unconscious bias within organizations, obviously I work with lots of organizations, and there's so many great organizations that are tackling unconscious bias and or just trying to get rid of bias in the recruitment process, and want to attract more people from diverse backgrounds into their senior leadership. Obviously there's got to be equity within that. So I think from my point of view, when I'm working with the Open University and we're trying to get people into roles and various other things, I only want to put them with organizations that I know are passionate about doing diverse recruitment positively and correctly. And so it's about working with the right partners to make sure that these people don't fail. Once they've gone through the course, they get employment opportunities within organizations, and then they can thrive there, because there are quite a lot of organizations that people do thrive, but I do respect that there is quite a lot of unconscious bias that goes in. But yeah, it's something that the organizations need to work with as well. So as much as, but it's a great question. Yeah.
Anybody else? If there's nobody else, we are going to do the final quiz, and then we look at the two outstanding questions, and then we will finish by asking people to complete an evaluation form. So the next quiz and final one. Okay, so can everybody see it on the screen? What the percentage of Black, Asian, racial as a minority employees in the voluntary sector? Because I'm conscious we have some people from the voluntary sector on the call. So please give us your answers. So I have put in mine already. So hopefully, yeah, but that's good, yeah. So 18, keep going. We are 34 of us. At least 21, at least, like the previous one.
I can't see the poll, Fidel, sorry.
You can't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can't submit because it's not allowing us to submit, Fidel. I can see it, but I can't submit my vote.
So I'm not sure why some people can't see it, but there you are. Okay, and the answer is, oh, that's a very good split, huh? 40%, 30%, 30%, and the 40% have it. Thank you very much. So that's done in the quizzes. And now we have got 2 final questions. Let me see if anybody else asked another one since then. Oh, okay. Yes, there is another one. I'll publish it as well. And we'll try. We were meant to finish at 5 past, so we'll try and finish by 10 past. So the question we have is, are the courses available for people outside the UK? 100%. The material on Open Learn is accessible anywhere you are. You don't have to be in the UK. The only problem is this program as it is, the Black Leadership and Empowerment Program as we have it today, is currently a pilot. So it's not available to everybody. It's only available where we can get the resources to go and deliver it. But the courses, the Open Learn platform is available to anybody, wherever you are. Doesn't matter whether you are in UK or anywhere, you can go and do the course. And the good news is the 2 courses we produced are available, and when you complete them, if you do everything you need to do, you'll get a badge, which is like a certificate of participation. So I don't know if there is any more, Owen, any more you have to say about that question?
No, not really, but I'm catching up on some of the others, but you're in charge, Fidel, so over to you.
Yeah. So I don't know if, so I think that's the answer. For the time being, we are here, but the Open Learn courses are available to anybody, anywhere. And then we go to Andra's question, which is, once the students have completed BLEP course and earned credit for uni, are they signposted to appropriate degree courses? Is there capacity to work with the university to explore BA module, perhaps vocational course, which incorporates elements of BLEP? Okay, so there is an answer here. There is a track, one of our qualification, one of our business degrees is called Q91. I mean, we use a lot of codes here, and even me, in my 3 years, I'm still finding out what those codes are. But there is a pathway to a degree from this program, so it's possible they can. Whether the other universities are going to accept the credit, that one, it probably we need to tease it out. But certainly within the business school, it's possible to go from this program into the next one. The question might be, for example, how do you pay for it? I mean, if you got on the course and then you need to pay your tuition fees, do you have the ability to pay? Can you get some sponsorship? I mean, that's a question mark, but there is a pathway. Owen?
Yeah, I mean, all I'd say is that I think, yeah, as Fidel says, there's a few different options available at the Open University. And it's something that our tutors will be happy to talk to people who take part in the program about. And obviously there's a support system at the OU where you can call up and book a conversation as well to discuss your various options. But I don't think I have much more than that to say, really.
Yeah, but obviously maybe the question is going to our friends Helen and Volatito. So supposing your colleagues who are employed by MAG wanted to do a degree, so will it be possible to support them financially for the rest of their program beyond BLEP? You are muted.
Sorry. So what I would say is, for people that want to do that, they need to get in touch with their line managers, who will then forward their request. I'm sure it will be attended to on a case-by-case basis. I don't think there's any I'm not sure of any policy around that, but for anyone that wants to do that, I believe that it will be on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say I wouldn't want to confirm anything because I'm not sure. I've not had cause to have someone do that, but I want to believe that since this program was sponsored by MAG, and I want to believe that there'll be something, and if it's not possible, I'm sure that the person will be signposted to the right thing and the right place.
Yeah. And Helen, do you have any extra money in the kitty?
Well, obviously we don't have anyone from AutoTrader that's actually going through this program itself, but yeah, we have a number of people across the organization that are having like degree apprenticeships going through their degrees. We pay for qualifications, etc. So yeah, we do have like funding for those kind of things, and obviously a lot of organizations have like a government levy as well. So yeah, yeah, in essence.
Thank
And
you.
can I just say, I think people will want different things from this course as well. So when they're going through the course, they may want to go for a different career. So it's kind of open-ended of where that goes and what kind of university degree that you want to do. So there's no specific route, I don't feel, that somebody can go through. It's specifically empowerment and leadership. And then it's down to you. You've got credits. Where do you want that career to go? Where do you want that degree to go? But it is absolutely a major stepping stone for you to actually start believing in yourself, having the confidence, this, that, and the other, to actually go for the career that you want to go for. So I think that's probably the best answer for that one. So it's open-ended, but yeah, it's the world is your oyster. Don't limit yourself.
Okay, and finally, and when we go around the room, there is a question here. Securing the job is a huge barrier at the moment for many Black and ethnic minorities. They have loads and loads of certificates, certified courses, degrees, and so forth, but are still unable to secure a job commensurate with their skills and qualification. From your perspective of those in HR in particular, so how can we enhance the success after the courses? So I think that's a question which I don't think we have an answer, but maybe you can go around, and if somebody has got something wise to say, because I'm conscious of it, that obviously
I can help.
Yes.
Yeah, I can help. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, I think that after the course, I think there's this saying that your first point of contact with the recruiter is your CV and your personal statement, if it's required. So focus should be on your CV and your personal statement. We've had situations where people allow ChatGPT write their personal statement and write their CV. And I always say ChatGPT is good. It's just to give you an idea. That's not what you should present. So if you allow ChatGPT do 90% of the work for you, then there's a 90% chance you're going to fail. So what you should focus on is building a strong personal statement that is 99.99% true. It's you, it's what you've done, it's the value you're bringing to the company. A lot of people believe that because they have so many degrees and so automatically they qualify. No, some are looking at your experience, what you bring to the table, what you have to offer, what you've done, what you can do. So those are things that they need to put into their personal statement, because before the recruiter sees you, especially now that we have a lot of hybrid and remote working, before the recruiter sees you, they've seen your personal statements, they've seen your CV. So the first step is to get those two right. Put your best self into the personal statement. Some recruiters read the first 2 lines of your CV and just throw it in the bin because it's a whole load of rubbish, excuse my language, from the beginning. So they just toss it. So I think what is important is you focus on your personal statement, how you project yourself to the recruiter, and then also on-the-job experience plays a huge role, way more than what you've put on your CV or what you've achieved academically. So I think Personal statement, CV should be 100%. There are a lot of resources online that you can put in your CV, and those AIs would actually assess the CV for you and tell you how good or bad it is. So if a lot of people pay attention to their CV and their personal statement, I think it will go a long way in helping them secure their dream role. And it's also important to understand what you're capable of, what you can do, and not just think you can waffle your way through an interview and get the role. So that's also important.
Thank you. Helen?
Yeah.
I thought that was a fab answer. The only thing I would add to it is, I guess, like doing a good plenty of research on the organisation itself. So really understanding kind of like the culture of the organisation's values, and ensuring that your application form or CV is really like aligning to those values, and that so that the recruiting team can see that you've really done some like extra research to understand more about the organisation itself, not just, I guess, like the broad organisation, but the culture of the organisation as well, and what they're trying to achieve, etc. So yeah, that's just, I guess, like another little tip. That's probably something that we would want to see. We would want to see that extra bit of research has been done.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate what Helen said. Research the organizations, because obviously I do the inclusive top 50 UK employers. So there is research out there. You go onto organizations, go onto the inclusive top 50 website or the inclusive companies, find out who the most inclusive employers are, and then do a little bit, delve deeper into what they are, what they're doing, what initiatives they're doing, because they quite often will put them on LinkedIn or various other things about, or social media, about the amazing things that they're doing within their organizations and the culture that they're creating. You know, I know Auto Trader specifically do amazing work to empower their employees. So, and there's so many in across the UK that are doing that, but it's not easy to find. So I would reiterate what Helen is saying, and really research and make sure that the culture is right. And then when you go for the interview, you get a feel for what that organization is about. And if you feel kind of, alone, and you look in the office and there's nobody that looks like you, then maybe that's not right, the organization for you, and maybe look for an organization that has a representation of you more so as well, because you don't have to rest on your laurels and go into an organization just simply because it's a job. You want to thrive within an organization, and you want to be able to sit there and know that there is opportunities there for you. So look at the leadership team, look at what their inclusion strategies are, look at their place around, and look at what the culture is around, and you may find the ultimate job. And actually, when we're working with the Open University, I will be working with them closely with our partners and so on and so forth, to make sure that people that are going through this course are going to some of the right organizations that are there. And there's many organizations like me in the UK that are doing similar things as well. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you. Julie?
Yeah, it's such a tough environment at the moment, getting a job. We find that with our young people all the time, the lack of experience, or not really understanding the experience they've got and how that translates to the workplace. That's a massive barrier that we come across. I think for me, it would be a radical overhaul of the recruitment systems of organisations. I mean, what we try to do at Prince's Trust is work with organisations and miss out that recruitment, that CV sort of step, and go for like work placements with potential jobs at the end of it, where young people can just like thrive, like Paul says, show really what they can do and what an asset they are to that organisation, that maybe like a CV, personal statement, interview doesn't bring out the best in them. So it's looking at sort of different ways to encourage that with organisations to take that step to sort of, have that support to put things like that in place. Just as an alternative, really. I think we do see a lot of young people struggle with CVs, with personal statements. They're not of great quality. They don't understand what is of great quality, and that's a lot of our work, really, to sort of work with them one-to-one to move them forward with that. But I think ultimately, if we could have a little bit of sort of experience as well and take that step, that would definitely help.
Thank you. And before I say anything more, I'll go to Owen, and then literally we will close very shortly.
Yeah, it's a brilliant question, isn't it? Some stunning answers here as well. But it's I think one other thing to point out is that at the learning hubs, that a colleague of ours, Alex Bristow, is an expert at careers, basically, and doing careers differently. So our intention is to bring Alex in at some point to have a conversation about planning career, basically, and being kind of deliberate and strategic about how you plan effective careers.
Yes. Okay. So there was another question, which is when we are going to open up the program for everyone. Today, the program is a pilot, and it has been approved to be a pilot for 2 years. Then next academic year, we start thinking about what we do next, whatever form or shape the program is going to take thereafter. I can't tell, but all I know is we have been approved to run the program this academic year and the next academic year. And going back to the question which was being asked about, getting jobs commensurate with experience and qualification, I think there is something else which we need to figure out is how can we build our sort of networks? How can we build on our mentoring? How can we, maximize the idea of work placement, work experience in order to enhance your chances to be hired? But also, how can we talk to employers to tell them they are missing out? Because diversity advantage is something which has been proven scientifically or otherwise. It's very clearly the diverse employment organizations are the ones which are very productive and more creative, because by bringing in different perspectives, you are able to see things from different angles, and you are likely to develop better products or services. So I think that's a challenge to employers to open up and look at what they are missing rather than what they have. So thank you very much. But before we go, we have sort of an evaluation form, which has been posted in the Q&A function. We would appreciate if people could spend some time completing it. So we will not be, closing the sort of before people, we give a chance to people to fill their evaluation form. But the evaluation form will also be shared when we share the recording. So you'll get a chance to complete the evaluation form if you are not able to do it today. Emily, anything else I've forgotten?
I don't think so. Just to say that the recording and the feedback link will be sent to your email that you registered for the session, and it should come out early next week.
Okay. So, assuming you have opened your evaluation form and you are completing it, thank you very much. Thank you to our speakers today. It was a great honor to meet, albeit virtually. But I can't wait to meet with Helen, Julie, and Tito in Manchester, and Paul in a couple of weeks. As Owen hinted, we are actually planning to do something special on the 23rd of September. So watch this space for those people who are going to be in Manchester. So that's the learning hub where we are going to bring the whole Open University and Durham University. So I'm excited and looking forward to it. So thank you very much, and over and out.
Bye, everyone.